So today we're going to talk about some of the common mistakes that people make when they're doing their dietary analysis. So if you have questions on how to use Diet and Wellness Plus or Cengage, using their search function, finding foods, or just questions generally about the software, there's another video specifically about that. If it doesn't get answered there, definitely talk to your TA or professor and they would love to help you out. But this video specifically is just going to be on areas where we've noticed that students will lose the most amount of points. And so hopefully this will help you minimize that. So first thing I wanted to talk about was just really emphasizing the equivalents and making sure that you know them and that they're accurate. So one of the things that we see a lot is people will use the incorrect units for their equivalents. So instead of doing ounces of protein, they'll do grams of protein, or they'll mix up the units for grains and dairy. So they'll put ounces of dairy and cups of grains or whatever else, so there's a lot of different ways that you can mix that up, but just really making sure that you get your equivalents right and using figure 2-5 in the textbook. I'm sure you guys are really familiar with that by now, hopefully at least, and it'll be useful definitely on exams. So just making sure that you know that and you're using that. If it's a food that's not listed on figure 2-5, just do the best that you can. If it's a type of food that you're not really sure what group it falls into or what equivalent to use, ask your TA and ask your professor, but at the end of the day, just do the best that you can. We're not going to be super strict on foods if they're not specifically listed. Or if it's kind of one of those gray area type foods, as long as it's obvious that it's within range and that it looks like it could fit into that food group. But if it is on figure 2-5, it's really important that you are 100% accurate with that, because that's where you will tend to lose points. And I'd say tracking your diet here is where most students tend to get docked points. So the next one that I wanted to address was So section 5 right here, just looking at the percentage of calories coming from fat and saturated fat. So after you generate your combination report, you're going to have the option of choosing from all of these different reports, right? And the ones that we want to use are the intake versus goals, the fat breakdown, and the my plate analysis. So real quick, let's go back to that question. And it's asking the percentage of calories of the 3-day average from total fat and from saturated fat. So if we go back here to our report, at the top right here, it's saying 229% and 131%. If you think about it though that can't be right? Because you only have a set amount of calories, and you can't have more than 100% of your calories coming from one nutrient if the maximum amount is 100%. So if you're looking at this intake versus goals, it can be a little bit confusing. So when you're doing this question, make sure that you go all the way down to the bottom of the assignment here, and it's the fat breakdown report. So this is where you'll get the right information. So here, this person had 30% of their calories coming from saturated fat, and that's the number that you're going to use right here. So less than 10% coming from saturated fat, the 3-day average was 30%, and you'll put that right there. And then for the 20 to 35% from total fat, you're going to see if your 3-day average falls within that range. And the way that you can do that is you can come up here to the top again, the intake versus goals, and you're going to use the 164 grams, and you're going to multiply that by 9 and divide that by 1,888. So I can do that for you real quick, just so we're all on the same page here. But hopefully you're familiar with this calculation. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so let's do it. 164.34 times 9 divided by, 164.34 times 9 divided by, wow. So yeah, this person had 78% of their calories coming from fat. Yeah, so you're going to use that percentage, and you're going to come back and you're going to put it right there. So this person was obviously high, right? But again, just make sure that you're not using these percentages right here. And then you won't lose points on that, hopefully. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to address was when you're setting your goals down here, it says right here, choose meaningful and specific goals, not just eat more vegetables. But for some reason, there's still a few students every semester who will put down eat more vegetables. So let's talk about how you can turn that into a more effective goal, right? So ones that I've seen that are good are, I'm going to go to the store and purchase 3 different vegetables every Monday, and I'm going to eat them with dinner every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or whatever, something like that. Just making sure that it's specific and that it is meaningful, because I think that it's really cool that you can track your diet and kind of see where you're lacking or where you're maybe getting too much, and then making goals to kind of change that eating pattern. And then another one is a lot of times we'll get students who will put a goal down that is related to exercise or related to water intake. Those are great goals, don't get me wrong, but for this assignment, you weren't supposed to be tracking water, and it's more of a nutrition goal, so it shouldn't be related to exercise. It should be related to nutrition because this is a nutrition class, and we want you to kind of apply the stuff that you've learned and apply that to maybe a goal that you have. So hopefully that helps out a little bit. If you have any questions, ask your TA or ask your professor, and they would love to help you out.